Where in the world are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments. Before we dive into this heartwarming story, hit subscribe so you'll never miss the most courageous dog tales we share every day. What if the scariest dog in the shelter was a hero in disguise, just waiting for the right person to see past his scars? This is a story about two broken souls who found a second chance, and a dog who proved that the most aggressive growl can hide the most loyal heart. From my perspective, Mac's journey is a powerful testament to the idea that our past doesn't have to define our future. His initial aggression wasn't a sign of an evil nature, but rather a deeply ingrained defense mechanism born from trauma and betrayal. When you consider his backstory, a dog trained for protection and then discarded for his failure, his behavior becomes less about a bad temper and more about a profound sense of abandonment and self-blame. The true significance of his actions lies in the transformation from a monster to a protector. His initial growls and defensive postures were a reaction to a hostile world. However, when Maya offered him kindness, and more importantly, a sense of belonging, his loyalty was reawakened. The climactic scene where he saves Maya from harm isn't just a heroic act. It's a profound act of redemption. He wasn't just protecting a new owner, he was fulfilling his original purpose. But this time it was fueled by love, not just a learned duty. He proved that even a broken spirit can find its purpose and courage once again, if given a chance. The most important lesson here is that compassion and empathy are the most powerful forces for healing. Maya didn't try to fix Max, she simply saw him for what he was, a wounded soul. Her quiet understanding allowed him to shed his armor and embrace the trust he had so desperately needed. This story challenges us to look beyond the surface of a person's anger or guardedness and to consider the pain that might be hidden beneath. It teaches us that giving someone a second chance isn't just about forgiveness. It's about providing the sanctuary they need to heal and, in doing so, potentially saving a hero in disguise. Now let's get started to Max's story. The moment you stepped into the Riverdale animal shelter, you could feel a chill that had nothing to do with the air conditioning. It radiated from a single kennel at the far end, home to a massive black Labrador they called Max. He wasn't the goofy, tail-wagging dog you see on calendars. His eyes held a deep, unshakable suspicion, and his body was a coil of barely contained rage. A jagged scar on his left ear wasn't just a mark, it was a permanent reminder of the day he failed. His former owner, a man down on his luck, had trained Max to be a guardian, but during a violent robbery, Max was overwhelmed. His attempts to defend his home were met with a blow that left him bleeding and alone. The man, blaming Max for his failure, cruelly abandoned him. Max wasn't just neglected, he was left with a deep, haunting sense of failure. The shelter staff, a kind-hearted crew, approached his cage with a mix of pity and fear. They had tried everything, gentle voices, treats, even soft blankets, but every attempt at kindness was met with a low, guttural growl that promised violence. Max's story was a tragic one. He wasn't born a monster. He was forged by betrayal. He'd learned a harsh lesson. Trust was a weakness, and survival meant being the monster they already saw him as. And haven't we all felt that way, defined by our failures, building walls to keep our pain in? But just as the staff was about to give up all hope, a new visitor walked through the doors. Her name was Maya. Maya wasn't looking for a pet. She was a young girl with a quiet strength that felt much older. She navigated the shelter in her wheelchair, her gaze steady and unwavering. Her father, Thomas, a man who had been betrayed and hurt by a series of business partners, was deeply protective. He had built his own walls of distrust, and the thought of his daughter near a dangerous dog made his blood run cold. "Maya, please," Thomas pleaded, his voice tight with fear. "We've had enough pain. We don't need to go looking for more." His opposition was fierce, a reflection of his own personal losses. But Maya had one destination in mind: Max's kennel. As they approached, the air grew thick with tension. Max's growl, a low, menacing rumble, filled the space. It was more than a threat, it was a warning. But Maya didn't flinch. She simply spoke. "I know what it's like," she began, her voice a soothing balm in the tense silence. "To feel stuck, to have your world turned upside down." She spoke not of a wheelchair, but of a broken spirit. Of the days she wanted to give up. She even pointed to Max's scarred ear, whispering, "I know what it feels like to have a mark that reminds you of what you couldn't do." And that's when it happened. The low growl in Max's chest faded. He stopped his restless pacing and slowly, hesitantly, lowered his head. He was listening. This was the first and most profound plot twist. Maya wasn't trying to save a dog. She was sharing her story with a kindred spirit. Her honesty was the key, the one thing that could reach past the walls Max had built. Maya extended her hand through the bars, her fingers trembling slightly, and for the first time in what felt like an eternity, Max didn't growl. He simply leaned forward and rested his massive head in her palm. The scar on his ear brushed against her fingers, a silent, powerful acknowledgement of their shared brokenness. Thomas watched, his own walls beginning to crumble. Thomas watched in stunned silence, tears streaming down his face. In that moment, he didn't just see a dog and a girl, he saw two wounded souls finding each other. He looked at his daughter, at the quiet resolve in her eyes, and he finally understood. His own anger and fear had been a reflection of his pain. The very act of Maya reaching out to Max was the same trust he had been too afraid to offer the world. He signed the adoption papers without a second thought. "He belongs with us," he whispered, a silent promise to his daughter and to himself. But life with Max was no fairy tale. The first few weeks were a delicate dance of caution and trust. One evening, a friend of Thomas's came to visit. As the man's hand reached out to greet Maya, Max reacted instinctively, a low growl rumbling in his chest, his hackles raised. The friend backed away nervously. Thomas didn't get angry, though. Instead, he took a deep breath. "He's not angry," he explained to his friend. "He's just protecting." This was the test. Thomas's patience and Maya's unwavering faith were the only things that could show Max that he didn't have to be on guard anymore. Their healing was a shared journey. As Max's trust slowly grew, so did Thomas's. He began to see that Max's aggression was a mirror of his own mistrust in the world. Max was a survivor, just like he was. As he learned to trust again, so did Max. His tail, which had been motionless for so long, gave a tentative thump against the floor, a quiet victory. Max was not just Maya's protector, he was also the catalyst for Thomas's own healing. He told them that trust isn't given easily, it's earned, little by little, and it's the most precious thing in the world. Time passed, and Max's transformation was complete. The once feared Labrador was now a beacon of loyalty. His muscular frame, once a tool for aggression, was now a shield for Maya. He walked beside her wheelchair, not with fear, but with a silent, confident dignity. His eyes, once full of suspicion, now gleamed with intelligence and devotion. He was a testament to the fact that past trauma doesn't have to be a life sentence. But his true purpose was put to the ultimate test one afternoon. Thomas was working in the garage, and Maya was in the kitchen, trying to reach a book from a high shelf. Her wheelchair's brake slipped, and she fell, her head hitting the counter with a sickening thud. The sudden silence was broken by a low whimper of pain. Max, who had been resting at her feet, knew instantly something was wrong. He barked. A desperate, powerful sound, trying to alert Thomas, who was working with loud machinery and couldn't hear. This was the pivotal moment. Max, the dog who had failed to protect his first owner, had a second chance. He didn't just bark, he sprang into action, grabbing Maya's sweater in his mouth and tugging with all his might, trying to pull her to a safer spot. His actions weren't fueled by aggression, but by pure love and desperation. He then ran to the garage and barked frantically until Thomas finally heard him. Thomas rushed inside, his heart in his throat, only to find Max standing guard over a shaken but otherwise unharmed Maya. This was the final plot twist. Max's past aggression wasn't a flaw. It was a testament to his unbreakable will to protect those he loved. He had gone from a prisoner of his past to the hero of his present, proving that even a broken soul can rise to greatness. The incident was a turning point. Max had not only saved Maya, but he had shattered the final walls of doubt that Thomas had built around his heart. The community, once wary of Max, now saw him as a hero. His story became a powerful metaphor for our own lives. For all of us who have felt abandoned, misunderstood, or judged by our past, Max's journey is a reminder that we are not defined by our scars. Our true power lies in our ability to heal and find a purpose, to turn our pain into a source of strength. Maya's unwavering faith in Max taught us that love isn't about finding a perfect being, but about seeing the potential for good in a broken one. And Thomas's journey showed us that healing is a choice, a brave step toward a new, more hopeful future. So what's the takeaway from all this? Be a little more like Maya. Don't look for the perfect story, look for the one that needs to be told. Don't judge a book by its cover or a person by their past. Find the courage to extend a hand, to offer a little bit of hope, because you never know when you might just be the one to save a hero. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button. Let me know in the comments below, have you ever seen a moment of pure compassion change a life? What's a story you know about a second chance? And if you want to hear more stories of hope, resilience, and a few good plot twists, make sure you subscribe to the channel and ring that notification bell. we're on a mission to prove that every story deserves to be heard.